Hello, everyone. My name is Kathy Martin, and I'm the creator of Prealgebrateachers.com. Thank you so much for joining me today live right here in the comfort of your own home, hopefully, for our classroom management success for pre-algebra teachers. Please feel free to tell us who you are in the chat, tell us what you're teaching, tell us where you're from, because this is totally a community here, and let's talk, because we're here to talk about classroom management. I want to help you be successful, but it's so nice to have the conversation going live in the chat. So now is a great time to take out your workbook if you've had a chance to print it out, to get organized, to organize your thoughts, and to keep your thoughts going, to keep your thoughts organized while we continue in this teacher training. Thank you so much for being here, Rebecca. You're from Nevada and you teach pre-algebra to algebra 2. Wow, that's a huge range. Safa, thank you so much for joining us. If you're feeling shy, it's okay, but I highly recommend that you participate in the chat, because we're better when we can work together. So if you can just give me one quick second, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you so that you can see the presentation. Sometimes the technology is not on my side, and it gets a little bit wonky, but that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Yes, we are going to make it. There we go. Here we go. Okay. All right. So again, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy afternoon. I know if you are still in the classroom, if you are a teacher like me, things are always hectic, things are always crazy. So I appreciate you taking time out of your busy, busy day to come hang out with me in this teacher training. I have done this teacher training several times before. I've talked to many teachers, and these 4 collective problems might be things that you're experiencing. I have, in the many teachers that I've spoken to, the 4 main problems that teachers experience in regards to classroom management is they might be experiencing disruptive behavior, nonstop talking, disrespectful behavior, and foul language, which leads to you feeling deflated and ineffective. You might be feeling one of these or all of these, and I want you to know that you're not alone. So the 3 things we're going to be talking about today, the main 3 things we're going to be talking about today, are your rules, how to set your rules and follow through, your relationships, and your routine. The routine is going to be huge, and we're going to talk extensively about that, because it is so, so important to create a safe learning environment that is structured, that is organized, so that your students have the best opportunity to learn. Since I cannot show you everything that I can possibly show you in the time that we have, which is going to be about 45 minutes today, if it's okay with you, I'm going to be spending a little bit of time at the end of this presentation to show you where you can go get more help. So the way that it's going to work today is you're going to be here with me, you're going to be listening and participating in that live chat. If you want to add anything, if you feel like you're experiencing this too, if there's anything that you want to add, please participate in the live chat. I am fully someone who believes in collaboration. We are stronger when we work as a team, and I certainly know that I don't know everything. So I invite you to participate in the live chat as we go along. And if you hang with me until the end, there are going to be some pretty amazing freebies. I'm going to be giving you my classroom management plan and a certificate of 1 hour of professional development. You'll be able to print out a certificate that will give you 1 hour of professional development to add to your hours, but please just make sure that you check with your HR department or your principal or whoever takes your hours and make sure that they do accept online trainings as professional development. Okay. So before I begin, I just want to officially introduce myself. My name is Kathy Martin. I just completed my 10th year teaching. I'm actually going to be hitting year 11 on February 1st. I started my career teaching 4th and 5th grade, and I started 4th and 5th grade for my first 2 years, and I have taught all the years since then as a pre-algebra special ed teacher. So I've been able to serve special ed and typical students, and it's been amazing. This job is exhausting. It is crazy, but every day is a new day, and that's why I love it. I currently live in Los Angeles with my husband, Glenn, and my dog, Fred. All right, so let's jump right in. So the first R in your workbook is for rules. So I have to ask you, what are your rules? This is a picture of what my class rules are. And I know it's a little hard to see, so I'm going to just quickly go through it with you. My very first rule is that cell phones are permitted at teacher discretion only. I do allow phones during certain times in my class. However, there's no social media, no texting, and no phone calls. If a student has to make a phone call or they're expecting an important text message from their parents, they have to let me know at the beginning of the period. The consequences for breaking the cell phone rule is that the first violation is I take the phone away. It goes into my pocket or on my desk until the end of the period. If I catch you again, then it's going to go to the front office and parents have to come pick it up. My second classroom rule is bring all the required materials to class. Rule number 3, no profanity or rude behavior will be tolerated. Rule number 4, be respectful. And rule number 5, be in class on time. I don't think any of my rules are particularly crazy. I don't think any of them are unattainable. I think my classroom rules are pretty standard. The important thing about the classroom rules is I must follow through. If I see a kid texting on his phone and I don't take the phone away, then all the other kids will know that they can have their phone willy-nilly whenever they want on their Snapchat, on their Instagram, doing whatever it is they're not supposed to be doing because I am not setting the example. So it is October 11th, and I don't know about you, but for me, we've been in school for about 8 weeks now. So kids are getting comfortable. October is a tough month. You might be feeling like you're kind of getting a little bit relaxed in your rules. You might be feeling like you are not being as tough as you should be. And I'm here to remind you, do not loosen up on your rules. You have to continue to stay the course. Now, I know that because you are here, you must be a good teacher. And I know that you probably discuss your class rules on the first day or whatever day of the year that you have, the first day of class with your students, just like all good teachers do. Now, if you are feeling and if you are observing that your rules are not being followed, it might be time to hit the reset button. Well, what does this mean? If you are finding that your class rules are not being followed, you might need to sit down with your class and come up with new rules together. I have done this in the past where my classes collectively have come up with a set of rules for themselves to follow. And it's great because it's their own rules that they have created. So there's automatic buy-in for their own rules. Now, obviously, you as a teacher get the final say of, yes, this is going to be the school rule or the classroom rule, because you can't have kids saying like, yes, we can text and go on social media. Like, obviously that's unacceptable, but it's great to involve your students. It's great to have that open conversation so that everyone can feel like they have a say in the classroom rules to be followed. You must follow through with your rules so your students know you're serious. As I was saying before, if I have students who are texting and Snapchatting and doing stuff and I just let it go, then the rest of my class is going to notice, and they're going to notice that I don't really care, or it's okay for everyone to have their phones out and Snapchat and Instagram and do all this stuff. You have to be the example. When I'm in class, I don't have my phone out. I mean, my phone sits at my desk, but I'm very rarely at my desk, so I don't really look at my phone. I look at my phone during lunchtime and break times, but if I expect my kids to put their phones away, then my phone is also put away. And I tell them, unless it's an emergency. The second part to setting your rules and creating your rules is you have to think about what your consequences are going to be. So I have the consequences explicitly written for breaking the cell phone rule. If you break any of the other rules, my consequences are you get a detention. And for me at my school, detentions can be you sit in the classroom, after school or before school, or you could pick up trash at lunch. And I always assign a lunch trash pickup because that is more effective, because children don't want to be embarrassed. And if they have to spend their lunchtime picking up trash, they're embarrassed and they don't want that. So they never want the trash pickup. And then if they get the trash pickup and it continues to be a problem, I will email home, and we do write referrals at our schools. So that's going to be the next step. So you have to think about what are your consequences going to be? And then you have to follow through on those consequences, because your students have to know you're serious. They have to know that you stick to the rules and that you will follow through the consequences. It's just like if you have children of your own kids, you have to follow through with your kids or else they're just going to run amok. Okay, the second R, relationships. In a recent 2003 analysis of more than 100 studies, Marzano, who is our researcher, found that the quality of teacher-student relationships is the keystone for all other aspects of classroom management. Building relationships inherently will impact your classroom in a positive way. If your students know that you care about them, if you can get on their level, they will work for you and they will behave for you. So how do we build these relationships? It's really important that you greet your students daily. Here's an example. Good morning, Johnny. How is my fellow mathematician doing today? You don't have to be as corny as this, and you don't have to greet every single one of your students, because let's be real here. We have anywhere between 20 and 40 students. It would be impossible to greet every single student. And I know you like me, have probably seen these videos on Facebook or on social media of teachers standing at the door giving every kid a high five. And if you can do that, more power to you. But when you only have 45 minutes or 50 minutes or 60 minutes in your classroom, you don't have time to waste. So what I like to do is I like to say good morning or good afternoon or hello to 3 to 4 students as they come in my class. And I'm not ignoring the rest of my class, but it's just as kids come in, it's like, hey, Johnny, I'm so glad you're here. Hey, Sarah, good to see you. Let's get our warm up going. You just kind of make it part of the flow. But I don't say hello to every single one of my students. But I do pick and choose 3 to 4 students as they come in, and I rotate it so every student gets some of my attention at some point. Ask about non-school related topics. So if you know that your students are going on a trip, or if you hear them talking about, how they went out with their family the night before, ask about those things. Be aware of their after school activities. If they're on a football team, if they're on the baseball team, or if they do dance or cheerleading outside of school, ask about it. What position do you play? How many years have you been playing? Ask them to teach you a couple of things. Go to their games if you can. I know we're all really busy, but students love seeing their teachers at their performances, at their games. It just instantly builds that relationship. If you have students who can't afford after school activities, or who just don't do after school activities, I like to talk to them and ask them about their families, ask them about where they like to go eat in the neighborhood. I grew up in the neighborhood where I teach. I don't live there anymore. I live 30 miles away from the school that I teach at. So I know, and I grew up in the city that I teach in. So I know every single restaurant. I know every single place there is to go in the town, but I pretend like I don't because I want my students to feel like they're teaching me something. So I will ask them, oh, what's your favorite place to eat? Oh, my favorite place to eat is Chili's. Oh, where is that? Oh, it's near the XYZ. I'm like, oh, great. I'll have to go check it out. It's nice for them to feel like they can teach me something, they can show me something new, because it just makes them feel empowered. Talk to your students in the lunchroom or on the quad or during passing periods. This will take 2 seconds out of your day. If you're walking to the office during your passing period, or if you're walking to the restroom during your passing period and you see a kiddo, it's like, hey, Sarah, how was English? Great, cool, I'll see you in math. It takes 2 minutes just to make that connection. If you have students who are disruptive and demonstrating some bad behavior in your class, every type of behavior, whether it's good or bad, is trying to communicate something. When I was a student who did every single homework, who took all the notes, who made sure I wrote down my homework every day. My binder was organized. I loved a color code. So every piece of paper has a home. Everything is in a divider, and we love those students. And I would have loved to have a classroom of students who were like me as a child. And not that there's anything wrong with the way that I behaved, because I really tried to be a stellar student. But that behavior is trying to communicate that I want to please. I want to make my teachers happy. And same goes for disruptive bad behavior. What is that behavior trying to communicate? I want to tell you a little bit about a student I had all last year. His name was Andy, and he gets 3 bullet points. He was disruptive, rude, and all the cuss words. Andy, these 3 bullet points describes Andy to a T. Now, if you remember earlier, I told you that one of my rules was no cussing. Andy would come in every day and throw open the door and drop an F-bomb. Every day. And I had to, at first it was like extremely jarring. Like, here's this kid, bad attitude, dropping F-bombs, I don't want to be here. Everything is terrible. I hate this. And I had to kind of step back, and I had to pick my battles. So even though cussing in my classroom was unacceptable, I had to ask myself, did I want to get into that battle with the student over cuss words? Or would I rather try to change that behavior? So I decided I want to try to change that behavior, and I had to start with figuring out more information about this kid. So I went to all of his teachers, asked how his behavior was in their classes, and I found out that it was all relatively the same. So I thought, okay, well, I know at least it's not me. And so I had to, so if I knew that Andy behaved this way in all of his classes, then all right, what was the issue? So I found out that Andy had a difficult home life. Okay, so maybe I didn't know exactly what was going on in his home life, but I figured, all right, if it was difficult, then school was school. I was glad he was at school, because at least he wasn't doing drugs. He wasn't, like trying to get in a gang. He just wasn't doing bad stuff. So I was happy he was at school. And I made sure when I found out that he had a difficult home life, the next day he came in, I said, hello, Andy, I am so glad you are here. And telling him that I am so glad you are here really shocked him. He was like, no one's glad that I'm ever here, because he was so used to teachers disregarding him, treating him badly, just constantly fighting. And it was really hard. So that's what I started with. I just told him every day for a week, hi, Andy, I'm so glad you're here. After that first week, I kept it going. Andy, I'm so glad you're here. But I added, hey, let's start our warm up. So I did that for another week. Andy, I'm so glad you're here. Let's start our warm up. Hey, let's do number 1 together. And okay, great. You did number 1. Now we're going to, I'm going to come back and do number 2 with you. So I would walk away. And I had to do this this took a very, very long time. I am not going to sugarcoat it. It took a long time. So it started with, hey, Andy, I'm so glad you're here. Let's start with the warm up. Great. Do number one. I'm going to come back and check on you. And we would take our notes, and then I would go to Andy and I would help him with the first problem on the homework. I would get started on that homework for him. I would walk away and then come back and check on him. You know, I know this is difficult to do because we have other students, and there were days that I couldn't check in on Andy. I couldn't give him constant attention multiple times during the class period because there were other students I had to serve. So on those days, Andy didn't get as much done on the homework, but I did notice that after several months, the cuss words started to diminish a little bit. He would come in maybe 3 times a week and drop F-bombs. He would start to do those warm-ups by himself. I wouldn't have to engage in that all the time. So, and by the end of the year, he would drop F-bombs once a week, and he would do the warm-up by himself. So I had to really pick my battle, and I really had to figure out what he was trying to communicate with me. And that behavior, all of this disruptive, rude behavior, was just trying to communicate that he needed someone on his side. He needed someone to give him some attention, and he needed someone to tell him good job. There was a question about what the 4 main problems are, and that was on the first slide. This will be sent to you as a replay, so you'll get those 4 main problems. And the first R was setting your rules. Second R was relationships. I hope you got that, Priscilla. First R was rules. Second R was relationships. And we're going to be getting into the third R in just a minute. So you have to ask yourself, what is that behavior trying to communicate? Super, super important. Okay. When you have a difficult student who's exhibiting bad behavior, you have to find one good thing about them. So for me with Andy, the one good thing that I had to keep reminding myself was that I was really glad he was at school so that he could change his future, because he has to get through school. That could be the one thing he has, because I didn't want him to drop out of school. And I know it can be difficult to find that one thing sometimes when that difficult student is really getting to you. Andy was the kid who really made me hate going to school. I found myself sitting in the parking lot on mornings, not wanting to go into my class because I knew Andy was coming. And I did not like that. So I had to find one good thing about him and repeat it to myself every day. And I kept telling myself that I could be that one person in his day to make him feel good, or to give him a compliment, or to tell him good job. And that helped me. Like, I had to go to my classroom because I had to be the person there to tell Andy good job, and to tell Andy I was glad he was to see him, because probably no one else was going to be there to tell him. And there was probably no one in his day that would give him positive feedback. And to be honest, that really made me sad. And I didn't want this poor kid to have to go through that, because no kid should, really. Continuing in our disruptive bad behavior conversation, do not engage in arguing with your students. If you have a kid who is giving you sass, who is giving you a snarky comment, like if you tell the kid to, hey, start your warm up, and that kid says something just snarky to you like, ugh, make me, don't engage. Because if you get into an argument with that student, the rest of your class is watching and you've automatically lost. There's no winning in an argument with you as the adult. So ask that student to go outside to cool off, or to go take a walk, or go touch the water fountain, or just go sit outside until they can cool down, because there's no sense in arguing. Proximity is also hugely powerful. I work with many students with many special needs. I have a lot of students who have ADHD and ADD in my classroom, so they really cannot control themselves. I have a lot of kids who are unmedicated, which, you know, whatever. But sometimes these kids they don't realize they're loud. They don't realize they're a hot mess. They don't realize that they are causing the circus that's around them. So I just go stand next to their desk. I'll put a hand on their desk or a hand on their shoulder, and I just keep talking to the rest of my class. I just keep giving my class instructions or whatever it is that I'm doing. And all I'm doing, I am not directly talking to the student who is overly hyper or overly energetic. I just simply put my hand on their desk and I just move on. I'm continuing to direct the rest of my classroom. And it gets that student who is overly hyper or overly excited, they become aware, like, oh, the teacher's standing next to me and I'm being annoying and I have to calm down, and oh, she's touching my shoulder. Okay, I have to be quiet. So it really is powerful when you don't use any verbal cues. You use all the nonverbal body language cues to get them to switch gears. I found this amazing quote from patrickmillick.com, and it says, when you become frustrated by a student, you are provided the opportunity to model for them what dealing with frustration looks like. Be mindful what you model. This struck home for me as a special education teacher. I'm dealing with all sorts of behavior. And for you guys who aren't special ed teachers, you guys are general ed teachers, we are all dealing with some crazy behaviors in class, students who frustrate us. And it's just a nice reminder for us to be mindful of what we are modeling. We have to be modeling calm behavior, strategies on how to deal with frustration, strategies on how to deal with anger, so that students can take those strategies outside of the classroom. Okay, here's our third R, and the most important of the R's, and the most important key to classroom management, and that is routines. Routines is truly going to be the key to your success. My classroom is run like a tight ship. My classroom my routine is set. My students know what to do every day. If your students don't know what to do every day, you need to change that. Set the expectation in your classroom. Students should know your routine for everything. What is your routine to go to the bathroom? Can they just get up and leave? What is the routine to turn in homework? Do you have a basket? Do you collect it? Do they pass the papers to the person in front of them? I have a routine for sharpening pencils. I cannot stand the sound of my electric sharpener. So my students know that they are only allowed to sharpen pencils before and after class. I have like little handheld sharpeners because it's quiet. And there's nothing worse than when you're talking and a kid gets up and sharpens their pencil. Like, no, I'm like I'm teaching you, and you cannot just get up and sharpen your pencil, So what are your routines? If you don't have routines for everything, think about it. What do you want it to be? If you are a new teacher, your goal should be to have a daily plan. I want every teacher to try to shoot to have a weekly plan. But if you are new, I understand. You are drowning. You're just trying to stay afloat and you're trying to absorb everything. So have a daily plan. I know it is so overwhelming. Teaching is so hard. We're trying to balance and juggle so many plates. And sometimes, it feels very overwhelming and we're so stressed. So shoot for a weekly plan, but definitely have a daily plan. And post your schedule on the board. Your students should know what they are doing upon walking in. Creating structure in your classroom gives your students the feeling of comfort. As teachers, most of us are, how should I say, I don't know, controlling. I know I'm pretty controlling. I'm pretty type A, and I have a hard time with being flexible to my schedule. But teaching special ed, I've learned that I have to be flexible. For a lot of your students, their personal home lives are so chaotic. So if you can create structure and organization, it makes them feel so much more comforted knowing that they can come to your class and know what to do and what you expect of them. If you are having a hard time coming up with a daily routine, here's my daily routine so that you can get some ideas. So this is exactly what my board looks like. I have Prealgebra, and I write down exactly what we're doing that day. So I always start off every class period with a daily flash. That is just what I call my bell ringer or my warm-up, because my students do it daily and in a flash. We will then review homework, and then I will teach the lesson for the day. On this picture, you can see that the lesson of the day was to solve two-step equations. We will go over practice problems, and then I will allow my students to start on the homework for the day. And if there's time, we will play a game. Usually we'll play games on Fridays because there's usually not enough time during the Monday through Thursday. So games are usually saved for Fun Friday. So here's what my daily flash looks like. My daily flash is always 4 questions, and warm-ups are always used to review previous skills. I always want my students to feel confident in their math abilities upon walking into the classroom. And I want to be able to review skills that we have learned in the days or weeks prior. And because I want to keep these skills fresh in their minds. And I want them to feel like they can do the warm-up so that they feel confident in being able to do whatever it is I ask them to do for the remainder of the period. We will then review homework. So I will put my answer key up on my document camera, and my students will self-check. That is just how I run my class. Students self-check, and I, as a teacher, check for completion. So I make sure they've done it, and it is their job to check to make sure they've gotten the right answer. I will then go over the lesson for the day. All of my lessons are on PowerPoint. This particular lesson is about orders of operation. So we will go over the vocabulary. We will go over any of the rules. We will go over examples and then write down, step by step how to do them. And then we will do practice problems. So in this particular lesson, there were 3 practice problems. We will do it together as a class, and then we will go over the answers together. And then I will give the homework. So this particular homework is simplifying algebraic fractions. So I might, if I feel like my students are still struggling a little bit, I might have them do maybe the first 5 together as a class, and we'll go over the answers. And then I might assign the rest of the sheet for homework, or I might assign the odd problems for homework, or whatever it is that I feel like doing. And then this is an example of what one of my games looks like. This is Coordinate Planes Battleships. My students love this game because graphing points on a coordinate plane is something that my students do pretty quickly within the beginning of the year. So it's a fun game to bust out at any time because they've already learned the skill so early within the year. And it's super fun for them to just have a Friday, play with the partner, switch partners, and they talk crap to each other, and it's really fun. So, and they're learning at the same time. Engaged students are behaved students. I like to use activities like mazes, coloring pages, task cards. If you don't use task cards in your class, task cards are so versatile and so powerful because they're different from worksheets, but students are still getting a ton of practice. I like to use task cards with whole group. I will play whole group games, answer the questions. Sometimes we'll do it as fast as you can, or I will pick random people, or we'll play it in teams. There's so many ways to use task cards. I will assign task cards for homework. I'm actually assigning task cards for homework next week. So it's just a nice option outside of just your regular worksheets. Now, worksheets have their place in class, but sometimes it's nice. It's a nice alternative. My students love to color as well. They'll finish the work on the coloring page, and then when they get to the actual coloring, it's like this nice kind of calm in my class. It's like quiet because everyone's just relaxed and coloring. It's amazingly nice. And the mazes are fun too because students love mazes. I mean, no matter how old they get, there's nothing beats a maze. And there's real life mazes, there's Universal Studios or Halloween mazes. So they understand the fun of a maze. Man, if you are feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like there's too much to do, I don't have enough engaging activities, maybe that's why my students are crazy, you need help streamlining your routine. Can you imagine feeling less stressed and more prepared every day? Feeling like you are a more effective teacher? Priscilla says yes with all of the S's. Yeah, girl. I mean, we're all feeling the stress. I can tell you September, October, November, it's crazy. I mean, everyone's going, like, kids are nuts. Like, there's meetings all the time and there's no breaks. I mean, it's crazy. So I feel you. I feel you. I'm right there with you. I'm here to help. I created the prealgebrateachers.com community because I wanted teachers like you and me to be able to have instant access to lesson plans aligned to Common Core standards and Texas TEKS. I want you to have instant access to PowerPoint notes. I want you to have bell ringers for every chapter. I want you to have instant access to awesome, engaging activities like task cards, mazes, coloring pages, spinner math for every chapter. I want you to be able to print and go with your quizzes and tests. I want you to be able to have support, and I want you to be able to have instant access to materials added regularly. Before we move on to the next slide, I just wanted to share that I created this community out of need because I was always the first teacher to get there in the parking lot and the last teacher to leave. I would get to my classroom when it was dark and I would leave when it was dark. I was given a key to my classroom the day before school started and was told, good luck. I was given no curriculum. I was so excited to be part of a department because I thought, oh, these people will help me. But the people in my department meant well, but everyone was so busy doing their own thing, teaching their own classes, that I didn't really get any support. So I don't want teachers like you, Priscilla, like you, Safa, like you, to struggle. I don't want you to feel alone. I don't want you to have to stay late and not pick up your kids from school. I want you to be able to leave when the bell rings. I don't want you to have to work until your fingers bleed trying to find good stuff on the internet. I don't want you to have to be away from your family on the weekends and at night, because I know you're doing that. I know you are spending your Sunday nights lesson planning. I know you are probably sitting here on the computer right now with your lesson plan book on the side, trying to do both things, trying to multitask. So if you are interested in joining our community, you will gain hours back into your life. You will be able to be an effective teacher who uses standard aligned lesson plans. Stop working your evenings and weekends because everything will be at your fingertips, and stop feeling guilty. Go pick your kids up from school. Go drop them off at their practice. Go have dinner with a girlfriend. Go to happy hour, because let's be real, you're probably not doing that right now. The self-care probably isn't happening. You're probably eating Cheetos for dinner. You're probably not taking care of yourself. I mean, last night I went to bed at 8 p.m. because I'm just exhausted, but I'm not spending my time lesson planning. Be part of our community to have that supportive group. Priscilla said I had Cheetos for lunch. Yes, girlfriend, yes, right? I mean, it's crazy. I know, you guys. I mean, this job is insane, but we love it. That's why we're here, but I want you to be able to have access to support, and I don't want lesson planning to be a hurdle that you have to jump through. Today, if you join our community, you will be able to access this amazing special bonus, which is our huge bundle all in one place of all of our task cards. So everything is bundled up already. All you have to do is just pick what you need, print the pages you need, and boom, it's done. You'll get instant access to all of that as soon as you join. Another special bonus is you will get access to all of our new resources and support to make life easier for you. Things are added regularly, and you'll be the first one to know, the first one to get access. All you have to do is click that offers tab right underneath the screen and click the blue Join Now button. So you might have some few questions, and that's okay. Some of the questions that I get often that I want to share with you is, why should I join now? Well, you're here in our teacher training, and we have an amazing special low price that is not offered anywhere, and you'll be able to keep this price for the life of your membership as long as you don't leave. Will there be new material added? Yes, there's material added regularly. I actually just created new task cards that's Halloween themed for writing decimals to fractions and fractions to decimals. So I know a lot of teachers are working on that right now, and I just uploaded that into our community yesterday. What can I expect with my membership? You can expect to have your life back. You can expect to leave when the bell rings because you're done lesson planning. You will have access to all of our lesson plans, homework, tests, and a community of teachers like me. Our community is small right now, so I'm in our community every day. I'm in our private Facebook group every day, helping you, giving you feedback, answering any questions that you might have. I'm here for you. I got you back. Are the documents and lesson plans editable? Yes. I know that not every classroom is created equal. Some of us teach special ed. Some of us don't. Some of us teach pre-algebra, 7th grade. Some of us don't. Everything is editable to the needs of your classroom. What are people saying? Michelle says this is an amazing product. My students truly love this, and so do I. It truly has been extremely helpful in making my students successful. Thank you, tons. Melissa says, I'm a special education teacher. We just got done teaching these concepts. This is my first year teaching, and it has been rough. I am so glad this group has been formed. Thank you. Gina says, I took advantage of the membership and tried my first integer lesson today. It was really great to jump in. No prep whatsoever. Amazing. So what's the investment? The total value is priceless because it is worth every penny to be able to spend time with your children, spend time with your loved ones, go have go have dinner with a girlfriend, go to the gym after work, have a real lunch because you might have time to prep your lunch the night before, have a real dinner and not feel so exhausted. Here's a total value. It is priceless. You get a full year of lesson plans aligned to 6th and 7th grade Common Core standards and Texas TEATS. You get this full bundle of task cards. You get instant access to all of our regularly added content, and you get to be part of our private forum and private Facebook group for support. Our regular pricing is $49 a month or $499 for the year. That breaks down to $49 a month, which is $1.63 a day, or $499 for the year at $1.37 a day. But not today, because you decided to be here with me today live and to better your teaching, to hopefully give yourself a break, join our membership so you can have a little bit of your life back. There's special pricing. It's a 40% savings. It is not offered anywhere else. If you click that blue Join Now button, you can get instant access to our membership for only $29 a month. That's less than $1 a day, or a one-time payment of $289 for the year. That's about 75 cents a day. Join us today. You get bell-to-bell lesson plans all year long. You get access to all of our activities, all of our bell ringers, all of our tests, all of our quizzes. It's $29 a month. You can cancel anytime, or it's a one-time payment for $289 for the year. It's a huge savings. So how do you join today? Click that offers tab, click that blue Join Now button. Super easy. I want to just take you quickly behind the scenes of what our community looks like. If you're thinking, that sounds great, but I'm not sure, what do I really get? So I want to show you behind the scenes. This is what our forums look like. Once you log in and become a member, you will log in and you will see exactly this. This right here where it says introduce yourself to the forum, this is where you will go, introduce yourself. We're going to give you a big what's up, a big hello, a big I'm so glad you're here. If you scroll down, there's also an area called our Teachers Lounge Forum, which is where you can come and ask questions, get answers. If you need help with anything, classroom management, how to deal with the parent, how to deal with the coworker, how to deal with a specific student, ask away, and we are here to help. We have a staff meeting forum. We all have rough days. We all have a stressful job. So if you need to come and just sound off, if you just need to complain for a minute, let it off your chest, You can do it here. We won't judge. Sometimes you just have to get it out and then move on. This is the place for you. This is our daily flash form right here. So when you need to warm up, you just come in here, click it, open it, and you can access all of our daily flashes. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. I'm just going to make it bigger. So boom, here is all of our warm-ups. You can see how small this little tab is because we have so many. All right, so bam. This forum is our How I Teach forum. I've created certain videos on how I teach certain strategies, like how I teach adding integers, how I teach subtracting integers, how I teach long division, and there's additional resources to go with these strategies as well. You can print this poster, hanging it in your classroom. I have this exact poster hanging in my classroom to help my students remember what the rules are. Okay, this is the meat of our membership. This is our lesson plans forum. I have a 6th grade checklist and a 7th grade checklist. I will show you. Let's see. I'm going to open this. This is our checklist. Every single one of my students has this in their folder so that they can easily write down the date they were taught the standard, the date we reviewed it, the date that we assessed it. It really helps them build their confidence because it shows them exactly everything that they've learned throughout the year. Obviously, the goal is to get through every single standard, but the reality is probably not going to happen because we just don't have enough time. But it's amazing for them to see exactly what they've learned. I'm just going to pick a couple of things here to show you. I'm going to pick our subtracting, let's do one-step equations. So here's our lesson plan. I know a lot of you teachers have to turn in lesson plans to your principals. There's a lesson plan for everything. So this is lesson plan chapter 3-3, solve equations by adding and subtracting integers. Every lesson plan will show you the objective, the Common Core standards that it meets, shows you the corresponding bell work and the corresponding procedure. All you have to do is print this and give it to your principal. If you are in Texas and you need the Texas TEKS lesson plan, we also have that. So this is our Texas TEK. This is our objective, our Texas TEK standards that it aligns to, bell work, and procedure. All right, I'm going to just exit out of here. I want to show you what our lesson plan looks like. So this is the solving equations by adding and subtracting. So here are our notes. Here are our examples, more examples, and of course, answer keys. Everything has an answer key. I would never want, you guys as teachers to have to figure out the answer because we don't have time for that. Here is a sample of what our practice problems look like. So this particular assignment has 25 practice problems. I like to give these practice problems as review, as homework, as a supplement to whatever textbook you're using. This is a great addition to whatever it is you're using. So boom, here's your answer key. Okay, next, here's some amazing activities. So we have a jigsaw puzzle for adding and subtracting. Boom, print this, and then the students do the puzzle. Oh no, I'm sorry. I accidentally logged out. It's okay. I can quickly log back in. So here's exactly what you do. You log into our forums, you punch in you go to log in, you log in with your username and password, and then it'll take you directly into our forums. And if only I could remember my password. Thank you for bearing with me. Priscilla asked, which book is this aligned to? Priscilla, I did not align this book to really anything because when I first started, I did not have any textbooks. I was not given any textbooks. So I actually have a textbook now. I use the Glencoe textbook in my classroom, but I use all of the activities in this class or in this membership to supplement my Glencoe textbook. So you can use your regular textbook and just use this as supplement, as activities, or you don't have to. Okay, where were we? Here's a coloring page activity. So this is our one-step equations. This is holiday themed. I just did this with my class last week. So they solve all the questions and then they go and color. And then here's an answer key. All right, here is one of my favorite activities, spinner math. My students love this. They use a paper clip. They put the paper clip right in the center right here, and they spin and they get a random question and they fill in the question in the answer box. Obviously, if they have a repeat, then they spin again. And there's always a reflection piece and there's an answer key. Okay. In one-step equations, there's also a maze activity. Here's what the maze activity looks like for adding and subtracting equations. There it is. And boom, there's the answer key. And then there's also sort cards. I love these sort cards. So what the students will do is they will cut out these cards on the bottom. These cards on the bottom are the answers. So they will answer the question, find the answer on the bottom, and then paste the answer in its appropriate spot. And then here's an answer key. So there's always at least 2 activities for each chapter. And as you can see, I can go over with you. First, we have chapter 1, getting started. So this is all about variables and expressions, orders of operation, properties, coordinate plane. We have chapter 2, which is all about integers. Chapter 3 is equations. Chapter 4 is factors and fractions. Chapter 5 is rational numbers. Chapter 6 is equations and inequalities. Chapter 7 is ratios, proportions, and percents. Chapter 8 is geometry. And I'm in the process of working on creating stuff for linear equations, slope-intercept form, and things like that. This is where you will find all of our tests. We also have a forum for classroom games. I have scavenger hunt, there's orders of operation bingo, there's solving equations activity, and then I have a whole bunch of different activities for quizzes. We have a share your stuff forum as well. So when I've gone to different conferences and things like that, I always like to bring back different things to share with the community that I didn't necessarily create, but that have been very, very useful. And then we have a whole forum for teacher trainings. All right, we're going to head back to our slides. Okay, so again, we have our special pricing. Our monthly pricing is $29 a month. It breaks down to 96 cents a day. Our yearly plan, which is the best value, it breaks down to 79 cents a day. Isn't saving time, isn't being able to take your children to their practices, isn't being able to leave work at a reasonable hour worth spending less than $1 a day? All you have to do again is click that offers tab and hit that blue join now button. As promised, in order to access your freebies, which is your classroom management plan and a certificate of 1 hour professional development, please go to www.prealgebrateachers.com/PA training. I'm just going to suggest that you access this website on your desktop because that does look a little wonky if you try on your phone. So again, the web address is prealgebrateachers.com/PA training. Thank you so much for taking time out of your super busy evening to join me today. I know that you guys are amazing teachers, and I know that you are going to take something that you've learned here to make your classroom management super amazing tomorrow. And again, this special pricing is only for you who've taken the time to join me today. So I look forward to seeing you in our membership community. And again, thank you so much for joining me right here. I hope you guys have a wonderful Friday tomorrow and a wonderful weekend. And I look forward to seeing you in our community so that you don't have to eat Cheetos for dinner. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you again so much for joining me. It has been a huge blast. Thanks, guys. Bye.